Did you know that the biggest threat to your fitness isn't actually an injury, a busy school schedule, or a vacation? It's a sentence I hear too often from people on the internet or that I meet in real life. They think if I can't give 100% today, it doesn't count. So I'll just wait until Monday. We treat our health like a light switch. It's either all the way on or all the way off. But real life happens in the dimmers. Today, I am sharing why that 1% adaptation is actually an advanced fitness skill, how a deep incision taught one of my clients a massive lesson in resilience, and why, even if you've been off the wagon for months, you're much further ahead than you think. Hi, I'm Debbie. I'm an online personal trainer, and I spend my time helping real folks get strong for real life. As a full time educator and a trainer, I know exactly what it's like to balance a demanding career with the desire to stay mobile and independent as we age. Welcome to the show. I want to be incredibly real with you about something that's been happening in my world right now, because I never want you to think that I have this all figured out in a way that's unreachable. On April 1st, I had what I'm calling a perfect storm moment. I had just finished recording the previous episode for you, all about the importance of eating well while on a GLP-1 medication, the missing piece of the puzzle. As I hit stop on the recording, I realized I wasn't fully walking my own walk. I was relying way too much on the medication to do the heavy lifting for me. I call it the perfect storm because I had an appointment that day with the obesity specialist from my insurance. And we decided to transition my treatment from Ozempic to Zepbound. While Ozempic was helping me with the quantity of food I ate, it wasn't really touching that food noise, that constant mental chatter about what would my next meal be, and the real drive to eat things like sugary, chocolatey, that type of stuff. And because I was having such a hard time saying no to some of those sweeter things, but my appetite was still reduced, the quality of my diet had really started to suffer. This shift to Zepbound has given me a renewed focus on quality. As I record this today, I am on day 4 of the new Zepbound medication. I've definitely noticed some changes right away. Actually, my energy is better, uh, but just the way that I think about food, and I have been a dessert every night kind of person for a long time. Even when I am tracking calories, I have always advocated for the fact that dessert can absolutely be a part of your process as long as you account for the calories. You can eat anything you want, you just can't eat everything you want all at once. So it's been interesting because these last few days I've really only had dessert once, and it hasn't even been a real like a conscious decision or a struggle to say, "Oh, I'm not going to do it." And in the past I have tried, like I've tried to say tonight I'm not going to have dessert, but then there I am sitting on the couch watching TV and I just keep thinking about having something sweet. I don't know, and it's even with the Ozempic I was having a real hard time skipping that. This week, I've noticed that that is not an issue at all. So that's been a really positive shift for me. And I'm excited that I advocated for myself with the doctor. I realized that the Ozempic was only doing part of the job. And to be honest, I really wanted to be on the Zepbound medication, tirzepatide, from the beginning. It really works on two different parts of the brain and in the body. And it does more for the food noise and the mental aspect than Ozempic does. So I knew that this medication would be a stronger and better fit for me. But my insurance just has a process and a procedure. And I'm sure some of you have also experienced the fact that these medications are tricky right now. They're very expensive in the United States. Not every insurance is covering them. And there is a big sometimes there's a lot of hurdles to be able to get the medication. And my particular insurance had a process that we had to go through. I couldn't get the prescription for the Zepbound from my own personal doctor. I had to go to the obesity clinic and he was able to prescribe it for me. Fortunately, given my history and the fact that I had been on Ozempic for a year and where I was at in the process, it was not a big fight or issue to move to the Zepbound. He was ready to do it almost as soon as I got on the call after reading my history. So that was really nice. Um, After talking about my switch to Zepbound on social media, I have had a couple of friends reach out to tell me that they are also on their own journey with the GLP-1 medication. Um, if you have questions about these medications or you're on them and you just want a little bit of support, please reach out. It's been really nice to connect with other people who are on the medication and share stories and be able to support each other. Add to that, I'm still recovering from that ankle injury. I haven't been able to go for my usual incline treadmill walks. Instead of just throwing up my hands in the air and saying, I'll just wait till the ankle is 100%, I've been using my Peloton bike. It gets my heart rate up without putting too much weight on the joint. In fact, that pedaling motion feels like it's actually speeding up my recovery. That is a 1% adaptation. It's not a perfect workout, but it's the workout that my body can do and needs today. Similarly, I want to tell you a story about one of my online clients. She's actually been working out with me since October of 2023. She was my first online client. She's such an inspiration because her journey has not been a straight line. We've worked through knee pain, shoulder issues together, adjusting her form and her movement so she could keep getting stronger. She recently had a skin surgery to remove a spot. And because the incision was so deep and located in a sort of tricky position on her back, the doctor told her that she needed to really limit her movement. She wasn't allowed to bend or lift anything heavy. But she didn't want to lose the momentum and the consistency that she had with her workouts. So we went back to basics. I programmed some balance exercises for her in her app. These are exercises we've done in the past, so I knew she was already familiar with them, and they felt pretty comfortable. She felt an immediate sense of, I can do this. She told me how good it felt just to be able to move. She didn't lose her progress during her recovery. Why? Because we've built a foundation of habits. When you have a deep incision in your life, whether it's a literal surgery or just a season of burnout, you don't start over, you adapt. Because she kept the habit of showing up, her body was ready to say yes when we started adding strength work back in. So here's the light bulb moment I want you to carry with you this week. You are never starting from scratch. When I decided to get back on track with my nutrition quality this month, I didn't have to spend 3 hours Googling how to track calories. I just opened my Lose It app. Every food I've ever tracked, every recipe I've ever built, and all of my data from the last few years were right there, just waiting for me. I didn't need to form a new habit. I just had to dust off an old one. If you've been away from the gym for a month or a year or 5 years, you still aren't a beginner. You're someone with saved files in your brain and your muscles. It's always easier to start back up the second time because you've already proven to yourself that you can do it. You just have to stop waiting for the perfect time when your schedule is clear and your body is 100%. I'm sorry to say, I don't think that time exists for any of us. There is only today, and today you can choose to adapt. If you're sitting there listening to this and you're nodding your head because you're in your own perfect storm right now, or maybe you're navigating a new medication, an injury, or just the sheer exhaustion of your career, I want you to know that you don't have to figure out the adaptation on your own. I currently have openings for one-on-one online coaching. My coaching isn't about giving you a rigid all or nothing plan that breaks the second life gets messy. It's about being your partner in the journey. We'll look at your real life, your commute, your energy levels, your physical limitations, and together we'll build a plan that enhances your life rather than feeling like a sacrifice. If you want the accountability of a trainer who understands exactly what it's like to dust off habits while managing a full-time job, I'd love to chat with you. You can find the link to apply for one-on-one coaching in the show notes, or just head over to my website. I'm also still offering that functional longevity audit if you want to start by just seeing where where your is your if you want to start by just seeing where your baseline is today. I hope today's episode gave you one thing you can apply to your health this week. Remember, you aren't starting over. You're just dusting off the strength you already have. Thanks for letting me be part of your journey. Keep showing up and building your strength for the journey.